Congregation Bait D.C.B. presents a day of praise to the Most High. Unity Shabbat, we must rise. When? May 27, 2023, Memorial Day weekend. Where? Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Services will begin at 11 a.m. Eastern. For more information, you can contact us at 347-622-9090 or at our email at info@baitdcb.org. You can also visit our website, www.baitdcb.org. Don't forget to come with your best spirit of praise. Please come out and support. You won't want to miss it. Shalom, family. Congregation Bait D.C.B. presents a day of praise to the Most High. Unity Shabbat, we must rise. When? May 27th, 2023, Memorial Day weekend. Where? Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Services will begin at 11 a.m. Eastern. For more information, you can contact us at 347-622-9090 or at our email at info@baitdcb.org. You can also visit our website, www.baitdcb.org. Don't forget to come with your best spirit of praise. Please come out and support. You won't want to miss it.
By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying.
Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Bible class. My name is Uzi Alewi. I'm one of the teachers of Congregation CHOKMAH, BINAH, better known as Bait D.C.B., located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York. Thanking the Most High God for another day of life, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Today there's going to be a little change in what we've been doing, because actually today I'm going to go over a lesson in terms of biblical eating, or the way that we were commanded to eat in the Bible. So Rabbi Binyamin won't be the main teacher today, but I will be covering that section of it. But I'm going to turn it over to Rabbi Chief Binyamin so that we could get the opening prayer for this section, or this session, I mean. Rabbi?
Hallelujah. Give praise and honor to the Most High. Thank them for our lives and the opportunity to be here to continue on with our studies for the day. And as we open up our segment of prayer, I have a guest prayer, I should say, right here. Maurice Shemuel from Guyana, as we're just meeting each other right now in Maryland. So I'm going to let him step up and say the opening prayer for the day.
Hallelujah. Boker Tov L'Kulam. Nehalel Yah. Yehovah Zevaot, Elohei Aboteno, Elohei Abraham Yitzchak Yisrael. Modim Rabim Lecha Yehovah Zevaot Lechaim Shalanu. Toda Melech Haolam, Ki Ata Barata HaChol, Ve'asita HaChol Ala Olam. Toda Yehovah Zevaot Lechita Azot. Toda Lechol Anashim Shepo Lilmod HaMilim MeHaTanach. Toda Melech Haolam, Tasim Et Ruach Alehem. Ve'melech haolam ta'azorhem lelechet acharecha lilmod od b'shemka. Melech haolam ata yodea rak ata tam ve'rak ata yakol asod rak zedekim. Lachen salach lanu kasher anachnu shabarnu torateka medor ledor. We thank you, merciful Father, for the blessed gift of life that you have given unto us in this generation. And we ask you, Yah, to bless the brothers that gather to study the words of the Tanakh. We ask you, Yehovah, to open up our mind to receive the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you've left on record by the prophets, that whensoever we bethink ourselves in these lands of our captivities, that you are there waiting to return unto us. I ask you, Yah, to bless and prosper the way of the brothers that take the time out to ensure that this is done for the nation of Israel, for all those that are interested to really to return to the very purpose for which they were created, and that is to serve and worship you, the Holy One of Israel. We thank you, Yah, once again for our lives and all the blessings you bestowed upon us. And we pray that you will continue to be with all Beit Israel in this awakening in this day and time. The Olam Ma'ed, Ot Pa'am, Kol Kavod, Kol Shabachim, La Yehovah, Nehalel Yah, Hallelujah, Selah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Morris Shemuel, for those for that prayer. And we pray that the Most High God will continue to be with each and every one of us once again. So, Rabbi, before I get started, do you want to say something?
Yeah, once again, just giving praise and honor to the Most High. And just thanking Chief Uziel for taking over today. As you know, as I mentioned last week, I'm traveling on the road, but I still will be able to be available. So just for those that have been joining us, we thank you for continuing to join us weekly. The purpose of the Bible study, as we mentioned, is to make sure that we go through the Bible step by step for everybody that believes in the Bible, regardless of the faith. As long as you have the Bible as a foundation, we just want to make sure that we go through these topics week by week. So we encourage everybody to share this with your family and your friends. So as we move forwards, and any topics that anybody wants to go over, you could always suggest that in the chat, whether live or in the video after it's down. So thanking the Most High for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and praying that He would continue to teach us. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Rabbi. So just to get started, I just want to start out by saying that, from the beginning of time, the Most High God, in some way, shape, or fashion, gave us instructions on what we could eat, what we should eat, and He left the blueprint here on earth. So from the beginning, when the earth was created, the Most High God gave us fruit yielding seed in it, and vegetables and herbs, right? So if we go to the book of Genesis chapter 1, I'm going to share my screen. So now the people, you might want to, I don't know if you have the availability over there, Rabbi, but I'm sharing it from a different perspective on OBS, so it's not going to show on the stream over by you, on Zoom. So you're going to have to share it on Zoom so that the people who are capturing it on Zoom could see exactly where I'm going to. So I'm going to Genesis chapter 1, starting from verse, let me make sure I got my notes here. Go to the book of Genesis chapter 1, starting from verse 10. And this is the creation from the beginning when God created the earth. So let's start from verse 9. It says, and God said, Genesis chapter 1, verse 9, it reads, and God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together under one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas, and God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth put forth grass, herb yielding seed, and fruit tree bearing fruit after its kind, wherein is the seed thereof, upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, herb yielding seed after its kind, and tree bearing fruit, wherein is the seed thereof. after its kind, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the third day. So on the third day, God created the earth. You know, he gathered the waters together, and up came up the earth, and then he commanded for grass and herbs and fruit, vegetables, all these vegetation to come up out of the earth to be able to ultimately feed his final creation that he was going to make on the sixth day, which was man, right? So you needed something to sustain man and to also sustain the animals that were going to be on the earth. So God gave us fruits, vegetables, plants, grass, flowers. This is when it was all created on the third day. And as we notice, it says, let the earth put forth grass, herb, yielding seed, and fruit tree bearing fruit after its kind, wherein is the seed thereof upon the earth. And it was so. So here we see the word for seed is sarah, right here. Let me see if I could do the same thing that Rabbi Binyamin does and highlighting. Let me go over on this side. So, Zerah, right here. So you see the word Zerah, Zion, Resh, and Ayin. Zerah, that means seed. So that could mean the actual seed of a plant or of a fruit, and that can also mean the seed of a man, right? It's interchangeable for both. So we talking about Sarah here, and this is what the prerequisite of all the plants and the things that God made for man to consume. So therefore, when we consume within our communities, we make sure that the fruits that we're consuming have seeds, that the things that we're consuming have seed, because the seed is how the life carries on of this particular fruit. So if you eat a mango, it should have seed. If you eat grapes, it should have seeds. If you eat oranges, they should have seed. If you eat an apple, it should have seed, because those seeds is what continues life for that plant, for that tree, for that fruit, whatever it might be. So we eat fruits with seeds that grow in it. You know, we eat foods with seeds that grow in it. Anything that comes off that tree, anything that comes off that vine, it should have seeds in it. All right? So now we're going to move on. We're going to go to Genesis, to the book of Genesis chapter 9. Genesis 9, verse 1 through 4. So this is right after we come out of the ark. After Noah, we come out of Noah's ark. So prior to Noah going into the ark, the Most High God told Noah to make sure to bring the animals, the clean animals by twos and twos, by pairs of twos. The unclean animal by pairs of twos, and he told him to bring the clean animals by pairs of sevens. So the reason that was because the unclean animals, or a greater deal of the unclean animals like pigs and stuff like that, they have litters. Dogs and cats, they have litters. So they tend to have more pups or offspring, and one when they have them, they tend to have more in one pregnancy than a clean animal, right? So obviously Noah and his time, they knew the difference between a clean and an unclean animal, to where he was able to bring the clean animals by pairs of 7 into the ark, and the unclean animal by pairs of 2s into the ark. So they knew the difference between a pig, and they knew the difference between a cow. They knew that the pig was an unclean animal, and they knew that the cow was a clean animal. So now when we come out of the ark, We read Genesis chapter 9 from the top, from verse 1, it reads, "And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth." So it says, and replenish. So that word right there, replenish, is apropos because the earth was once populated, and now you have to replenish the earth, or you have to fill the earth, right? It's more so you have to fill the earth. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And verse 2, "And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth." Right? So now God is saying that we should have dominion over these beasts of the earth, and our fear shall be upon them. So for most part, animals are fearful of us. Even if they attack you, they're fearful of you, right? Today, in today's society, we live amongst the animals, and a lot of them, it's innate in them to fear us, so some of them attack you because they are in fear of you, right? Some run the other way, some attack you because of fear. "And upon every fowl of the air, and upon all wherewith the ground teemeth, and upon all the fishes of the sea, into your hand are they delivered." So prior to the Noah's Ark, we were supposed to be vegetarians. We were supposed to just eat off the tree. We were supposed to just eat off the herbs and the grass, and these were the things that we were allowed to eat, right? When we read in Genesis chapter 1, that's what God gave us for food. Now coming out of the ark, the Most High God is going to shift, and he's going to give us a different command now. Said, "Every moving thing that liveth shall be for food for you. As the green herb have I given you all. Only flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat." So it tells you right there, as the green herb have I given you all. So that's what he commanded to us in Genesis chapter 1, that the green herbs and the fruits, the vegetables, all that was food. But now coming out of the ark, he commands us that we can have of all living beasts. So now remember, I told you, they knew the difference between clean animals and unclean animals. Although it's not pointed out here that you should only eat clean animals, they automatically understood and knew which animals were the ones that were fit for consumption versus the ones that were not fit for consumption, right? Because they were also farmers, they were also herdsmen and cattlemen. They understood the nature of animals and which animals will be considered clean for consumption and the ones that will be considered unclean for consumption. I hope that everyone is still with me and everybody is following along. Let us move straight ahead. I know this could get a little bit long, so I'm going to try to move along quickly so that people can have questions. Let us go to the book of Leviticus chapter 3. Let me see here. (3:17). So let me see here. Looking for one more thing here, and then we can move on. All right, so, verse 4. "Only flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat." So we're commanded not to eat blood. So when we prepared, so coming out of the ark, God told them, look, get rid of the blood. Don't drink blood, don't eat blood, don't do anything with blood. When we slaughter an animal, there's a way to get the blood out of it. Unfortunately, today, many of us are going to supermarkets. We get our meats from supermarkets, and we have to go through a process of drawing the blood out of the meats, especially when we're talking about red meat or, steaks or lamb or anything like that. You have to soak that meat so that blood comes out of it. It's a process of soaking the meat and leaving it in bowls of water and changing that water constantly to get the blood out of the flesh. So we have to, the Most High God commanded us not to eat blood. If you go to Africa, you got tribes like the Maasai tribe who shoot an arrow into the animal's vein, and they cause the blood to come out and fall into containers, and they put milk curds in it and mix it with the blood, and this is something that they eat in order to give them strength, and it's a source of protein for them. Things like that are not permissible by us. Today, people eat things like blood pudding, right? Many of us that come from the Caribbean know what blood pudding is, or that's what they call it, blood pudding, where basically you use a meal with pig's blood and you spice it up and do all these things, and then you fry it, and people actually eat these things. The Mongols back in history, when they were out to war, they would sometimes drink some of their horse's blood to give them energy if they didn't have any food. So these are all forms of us eating blood, of people through history eating blood, that the Most High God said was a no-no for us to do, because eating blood is against the command of his law. So let us go to Leviticus chapter 3, verse 17. This is the offerings of the priest. Leviticus 3:17. And that reads, all right, so I researched this all right. Let me see over here. Just give me 1 second here. I think, oh yes, it is right here. All right, so it's talking about the offerings. Shall lay upon the head his offering, he kill it, and do it. So I'm reading from verse 2. And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall dash the blood against the altar and round about it, and he shall present of the sacrifice of peace offerings an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards. So this is the sacrifice for the priest. And it says here in verse 17 of chapter 3 in Leviticus, it shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your dwellings, that ye shall eat neither fat nor blood. So we are clear in the things that we are supposed to eat. So when we prepare meat, we are allowed to eat meat, but in the preparation, we have to get rid of the fat and the blood. We are not permitted to eat fat or blood. So, when people season with drippings of fat, that is not permissible. Fat is not permissible in our diet. The Most High God wants us to eliminate the fat and also the blood, because he said that the blood is the life, right? The blood is what carries disease and all that. God didn't explain that to us, but today we understand that. So he doesn't want us to cook with beef fat. Back in the days, it was popular for people to cook with pork fat. But we understand and know that as we get to Leviticus chapter 11, that the pig is an unclean animal anyways, and we cannot use that animal for no part of our cooking or no part of anything that we do, because it becomes the carcass of that animal, makes us unclean, and it defiles whatever it touches. So those are the things that we have to keep in mind and understand, that when it comes to our diet, we have to be circumspect and understand that a lot of these animals contaminate. As we move on to Leviticus chapter 11, we will begin to see the animals that we are allowed to eat and the ones that we are not allowed to eat. And we're going to go through that very quick because time is of the essence. And I don't know what's going on in the chat, but let me take a quick peek and see what's going on in the chat. All right. Okay, just looking back. Let me go back to, I'm usually the one that's back and forth, but because I'm teaching the lesson, it's a little bit different today. All right, so we start from Leviticus chapter 11, which is the main chapter that we go to understand diet in the Bible and to understand what is it that the Most High God requires of us. So now what we got from Genesis in the beginning were basic laws and commandments for man to maintain themselves, all humanity. As we get here, this is specific to the nation of Israel for us to understand how is it that the Most High God required for us to eat. So Leviticus chapter 11 is basically the dietary law as we know it and as we call it. The dietary law consists of much more than just not eating pork, but there's a whole slew of animals that we are forbidden from eating, and there's animals that we are permitted to eat. So this chapter right here gives the whole breakdown of everything, and it would equip us in knowing what animals to eat and what animals not to eat. These type of lessons are not popular with some people because obviously people of the world like to eat what they want to eat, and this diet actually attacks a lot of the things that people like to eat, that they have gotten us accustomed of eating, but are not permitted by the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. So we will begin in Leviticus chapter 11, starting from verse 1. The name of the book, Leviticus, is Wayikra, and it reads, verse 1. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, now remember when we say the word Yahweh, where you see Lord on your book, where we see the word Yahweh, come over here. That's just highlighted right there. That is the way that is written in the original text, which is the Hebrew. But when it's translated to Lord, so that the name of the Most High wouldn't be put, all over the pages of the book, which, I mean, in a book like this, it really doesn't make sense because the translators are still, they putting the name of the Most High God in the actual original text. So either way, they could have still put in it, but that's my own opinion. All right, so where you see Lord in capital letters over here, right, that is the name of the Most High, Yahweh. So when you hear me say Yahweh, when I substitute the word Lord with all caps to Yahweh, is because that's the way that is originally written in the Hebrew, and so that we don't make any mistakes on who we speaking about. All right, so verse 1 again, and Yahweh spoke unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the living things which ye may eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever part of the hoof and is wholly cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that may ye eat. So now if you go into our channel, into the D.C.B channel, when this is over and you want to get more in depth into this lesson, there's actually there's a lesson if you put in dietary laws under our channel that will pop up with me actually showing, all of having a slideshow showing all of these things. But because of time, and we're not going to have time to go through this lesson with all the slideshows and all that, because this is a 1-hour program. So cloven, so whatsoever part of the hoof, so the hoof is the foot of the animal, right? And it has a hard toe looking at the bottom of the hoof, it has a hard toenail looking thing, and it's basically split down the middle. Now, not all of them have the toenail part of it, but it's the hoof is basically what we call the foot of the animal, or what we would see as the paw, but we don't eat animals with paws. But it's basically the foot of the animal, and it's split down the middle. That's a cloven foot. That's a split hoof, and cheweth the cud, right? Among the beasts that may ye eat, and is fully cloven footed. And then also these animals also have the interior claws in their paws, right? So this is fully cloven footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts that may ye eat. So to chew the cud is not just to eat grass. To chew the cud is actually an animal has a 4-section stomach, and within that 4-section stomach, there are different things that are happening. When we talk about bovine animals like cows and buffaloes and these type of animals, they don't have the gastrointestinal system that humans have, right? We have a monogastric intestinal system, which in terms, when we eat something, we have acids in our stomach that kind of break down the foods that we consume. These animals, these bovine animals, these animals like sheep and goat, and they don't have that. They don't have that acid in their stomach. So therefore, the way their stomach is created is they have a 4-section stomach, where we only have a 1 stomach. And what happens in the motion of chewing the cud is when they chew grass or grain, it goes down to 1 section of the stomach. They bring it back up again with the saliva, right? And then they swallow it back again. It goes to another section of another stomach. Then they bring it back up, and this process continues until it goes through all their digestive system and they pass it through. So chewing the cud is not just eating grass, but chewing the cud is actually a process that these animals go through when they do eat something, because they do not have that acid in their stomach to break down foods. So therefore, the food has to go through a certain process in order for them to break it down, right? So nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that only chew the cud, or of them that only part the hoof. So you cannot eat an animal that only chew the cud, or of them that only part the hoof. So the animals have to have both criteria. They have to both chew the cud, and they have to part the hoof for them to be clean for you to eat. Then it goes on and it begins to name animals. The camel, because he chewed the cud, but parteth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. So the camel, because he chews the cud, but he does not part the hoof, he cannot be eaten. He is unclean unto us. Out in the east and parts of Africa, they eat camel hump. That is unclean to us. And the rock badger, because he cheweth the cud, but parteth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. So the rock badger is the hyrax. It's an animal called a hyrax. It looks like a little rodent. He gives the impression that he chews the cud, but he really does not chew the cud. His chewing motion makes it seem as if he chews the cud, but he does not chew the cud. He is unclean unto us. And the hare, because she cheweth the cud, but parteth not the hoof, she is unclean unto you. The hare is the same family as the rabbit. So if you look, a hare is just a bigger form of a rabbit. That animal is unclean to us to eat. We cannot eat rabbit. I know there are a lot of people eat rabbits, but the Most High God forbade us from eating rabbits, and we are not to eat these animals. And the swine, because he parteth the hoof and is cloven-footed, but cheweth not the cud, he is unclean unto you. Right? So the swine is the pig, what we know as the pig. He's unclean unto us, right? Because he parteth the hoof. If you ever see pig's feet, some of you that have come from that world and have eaten pig foot before, pickled pig feet, That was something that people ate. You could see that the pig foot, or when you look at the pig, that he does have a split hoof, but he doesn't chew the cud. The pig has a monogastric system just like that of humans. They have acids in their stomach that helps to break down whatever they eat. If you see a pig farm, what they put in the slop, they'll put anything in the slop, and a pig will eat anything that's in front of him. And I always explain this in Vegas. They bring the big food trucks from the stuff that's left over from the night before, and they take it to pig farms, and the pigs finish eating all the scraps. Pigs are the sanitation department of the earth, are one of the sanitation or part of the sanitation department of the earth, because you have many animals that are used in that process of cleaning up the earth. You have birds, you have land animals that actually clean up the earth, dead carcasses or anything that's dying or of itself or whatever. The pig was domesticated, so therefore people used it for food, to consume for food, but the pig is really a cleanser of the earth. If you have a dead body in the field, the pig will eat it, because this is part of their job. So we should not be eating swine. We should not be eating pig, because it is unclean for us to eat. I know sometimes we concentrate on the pig, but people eat so many other things, just more so than pig. But because pig is a very or swine or pork, it's a very popular meat that people eat. Is why sometimes we focus a little bit more on pork or the swine, because it is something that's highly popular and it's something that's found in a lot of foods. Now, when we get to ingredients and we get to certain types of food, because a lot of people say, well, I don't eat pork. Like I said, the dietary law consists of more than just not eating pork. Now, when we get into ingredients, it's a little bit more intricate, like gelatin. Most gelatin, unless it's pointed out on a package that says vegetable gelatin, or the source of the gelatin comes from a clean type of fish, then gelatin is out for us to eat. If we see it's not good for us to eat if it's in a food, right? So certain things that carry gelatin, marshmallows. If you like eating marshmallows, they carry gelatin. Jello carries gelatin. These are all, little things that you could research. These are things that you have to be aware of that are in certain foods. Borden's, before Borden, I don't know if they still do it, but Borden's American slices, pasteurized cheese, used to carry gelatin. So certain things like cheese is not just cheese, right? They put ingredients in these things that will defile something that seems like it's clean. For example, cheese carries an ingredient called rennet. Now, rennet could come from an animal source, or it could come from a vegetable source, but most rennet that's used in the process of making cheese come from an animal source. You have to find out what the animal source that they got that rennet from. Enzymes, also another big thing. So these are all different things that sometimes they don't show us or they don't tell us, right? But we have to be aware of. So whenever we consume something, we have to make sure that all the ingredients that we're reading are ingredients that are clean for us to consume, in order so that we won't be in violation of these laws. All right? So I hope I'm making sense to everyone out here. So no chicken or beef fat, that is correct. It said, we're preparing meat well done. Take care of eliminating the blood, or does more need to be done? So there's a way of getting rid of blood and fat faster. So if you cook under open fire, that draws out all the blood and all the fat. you could basically burn off the fat and and draw out the blood from the meat if you're cooking on the open fire. Now, when you're stewing meat, let's say red meat, and you're preparing it to stew, if you don't soak the blood out of it, all you're going to do is when you begin to cook that meat, you will begin to see blood pockets bubble up out of that meat, and you're basically cooking the blood within the source of the meat or within the meat. So my advice to everyone is to soak your meat, overnight, whatever it might be, before you prepare it to cook, to get that blood out of it, and then you could prepare your actual meal so that you won't be eating meat or food with blood in it. All right, so those are little tricks and little things that you could do. But if you want to eat something right there, if you just purchased and you didn't go through the soaking process, if you cook on open fire draws all of that out, and you will be okay, right? Now, when you cook on open fire, you just don't want to leave globs of fat on the meat. You want to cut that out, but the little pieces and little things like that, for most part, you could get that stuff out. So those are things that we have to keep and understand and know. And even when we go buy things like sausages and things like that, sausage links, just because it says turkey sausage, it doesn't mean that it's clean. Sometimes when they make these sausages or these breakfast links, they are using pig casing. So you also have to be aware of the casing that they're using when they are packaging these sausages. Most sausages use pig casing. Now, recently, they began to use other type of casings that are not from animals, but you have to be careful. These are questions that you have to ask whenever you go and consume these things, because you have to read labels. If you do not read labels, you could get caught out there. So reading labels is very important as to how you're going to continue to eat clean and how you're going to continue to carry on and do the things that God requires of us to do. So let me go back to Leviticus. This lesson could be very lengthy, so let me move straight ahead. It says here, verse 8, of their flesh ye shall not eat, their carcasses ye shall not touch, they are unclean unto you. So that's still talking about the pig. These may ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them may ye eat. So whatsoever have fins and scales. So we know fins are the little wing-looking things that the fish have. They have it on the top of their bodies. They have it on the sides of their bodies. Those are fins. That's what helps the fish to maneuver in the water, to swim. You have the fish tail, and then they have to have visible scales. The animals that we get out of the water, out of the sea, have to have scales that we could scrape off. They have to have scales that we could scrape off, right? And they have to be known to have scales. So those are the animals from the sea that we could eat. So a lot of us like eating mackerel. Mackerel does not have scales. A lot of us like eating kingfish. Kingfish does not have scale. Catfish does not have scale. Some people eat shark meat. Shark does not have scales. These are all fish of the sea that are not permissible for us to eat. God already told us the ones that are permissible for us to eat. Anything in the sea that have fins and scales is permissible for us to eat. So this is an easy way to solve things. When you go to the fish market, you go down there, you see what has fins and scales, and you can eat that. If it doesn't, red snapper is good. Porgy is good. Whiting is good. These are all fish with fins and scales. All those animals and all those fish are good for us to eat. But if it doesn't have the combination of both, then they're not permissible for us to eat. Says verse 10, all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that swarm in the waters, and of all the living creatures that are in the waters, they are a detestable thing unto you. So we cannot eat them. And they shall be a detestable thing unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, and their carcass ye shall have in detestation. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that is a detestable thing unto you. So we cannot eat that. So a lot of people like eating shrimps, crabs, and all that. All that stuff goes out the window because God said it's not good for us to eat. So now we go into the fowl. And these ye shall have in detestation among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are a detestable thing. The great vulture, the bearded vulture, the ox of prey, the kite, the falcon after this kind, every raven after this kind, and the ostrich, and the nighthawk, and the sea mew, and the hawk, and after its kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the horned owl, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the stork, and the heron after its kinds, and the hoopoe, and the bat. So let me see here. Looking for a particular word here. So this is a list of animals, of birds that we cannot eat, right? These are a list of birds that we cannot eat. Okay, here we go. So now when we get to verse 18, this is very important because there's a little controversy of whether certain animals could be eaten in terms of birds that could be eaten or not. So we see the list of birds here that we cannot eat and the families thereof. So therefore, if you have one hawk, if it names the hawk, there's probably like various amounts of hawks, right? We just can't eat anything from the family of the hawk. Eagles we cannot eat. You know, what do you call them? Crows we cannot eat. They the family of the raven. We cannot eat it. These are all animals that basically a lot of them they eat carrion, meaning dead, decaying flesh, and or some of them are hunters, like owls and stuff like that. They hunt. We cannot eat these animals either, not only because they hunt or what they eat, but it's because God commanded us not to eat it. So now, the word that I have here is ha-tin shemet, is translated as the horned owl. And this translation is translated as the horned owl. So just pointing out to you, when this was originally translated by the Septuagint, and the Septuagint were the 70 elders that translated the book from the Hebrew to the Greek originally. When they first translated this word ha-tin shemet, right? And you see here the horned owl. It wasn't translated as the horned owl, and originally, it was translated as the swan. So now, why is that important? Because when all the elders agreed that this was the swan, the ha-tin shemet was the swan, then that means that anything from the swan family is unclean for us to eat. Through history, the translation has become the horned owl. But that doesn't make sense because verse 17 already spoke about the owl. So somewhere down the line, this English translation was changed to horned owl from the swan because certain European people like to eat duck. And I know some of us like to eat duck, but duck is not permissible for us to eat because the tin shemet, right, like I said, was originally translated as swan. The swan, the duck, the geese, They're all from the same family. All those web feed animals are from the same family, so they're not permissible for us to eat. So now we have a word, or we have a phrase within our community: when in doubt, do without. There's a lot of things that you might be in doubt of, and when you're in doubt of something, just put it down. Put down the product. It's not going to kill you. All right? So I'm going to stop right there. I have a lot more to break down, but because of time and this class is only an hour, I'm going to end there, and I'm going to take questions. If anyone has any questions, we're almost up on the hour, and I didn't know that we were this far along. So I hope I didn't confuse anyone. I hope it's a lot when it comes to the dietary law. It could be a lot. So I'm out here trying to help y'all out. All right, so let's see some of these questions. It says here, someone says tuna. So I spoken to fishermen that have gone out into the Atlantic Ocean, and they've told me that anytime they pull tuna out of the water, that it never has scales. Now, I will tell you this about tuna. If you could go to the store, to the fish market, and find tuna with scales on it, they're going to have fin. But if you could find it with scales on it, then it's permissible for you to eat. But that tuna in that can, I would leave that alone. I will leave that alone. Now, Arya Coles writes, what cheese companies are recommended for our use? So you have a whole host of cheese companies. You got, I believe that Cabot is safe. You have Miller's Cheese Company. You have Cholam, which is a Jewish company. But you're going to find those cheeses if you have like Jewish community, or if you got some ShopRites. If you live near a ShopRite, right? ShopRite will have a section that's called a kosher section. Some ShopRites, they accommodate for this. Depending on what neighborhood or wherever you're at, they'll have a kosher deli, or they'll have a kosher frozen section, or a kosher section where you could go buy all the cheeses and stuff that you need. So ShopRite might have the Cholam cheese. You also have the this company is fleeing from me. I think it's Horizon American slices are also good. The single slices. I think the name of the company is Horizon. I think that's the name of the company. They also make the milk. That's good to eat. I will stay away from the Crafts and all those other cheeses. Now, there is a list of cheese companies that we could eat. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to post it on this post underneath this link so that people could see all the cheese companies that do not deal with putting animal rennet in their cheeses, or don't mess around with their cheeses, and as actually a cheese that we are able to eat. I know it sounds funny, like, why would they bring rennet from another animal when the cheese already comes from the cow? Unfortunately, that's how big industry is. If you sell rennet and it's from a pig farm, you sell rennet, we're buying that from you. They're not conscious of that stuff. They just put it to make the cheese, and that percentage of rennet from the pig is going to contaminate all your cheese. It says here. I hope that was able to help you. Flounder. I believe flounder is a clean fish. I believe flounder has fins and scales, but check it out. Just research it. I'm not a big flounder eater, but these are things we could all check out. Tillamook has shredded cheese with vegetarian rennet. Okay. Tillamook. So there goes a cheese. Thank you, Sister Ikanzi. Be sure to look on the back of the package towards the bottom to confirm at Naarya Coles. So now some Sargento cheese is good, right? For most part, some Sargento cheese is good. And I believe the Sargento cheese, a lot of Sargento cheese, if you look on it, now I know we encourage you, that we eat clean. We don't eat kosher, we eat clean. So, but certain companies, of the cheese companies, you will see they will have the K on it, I guess. I'm not sure if they have the U and D on cheese, but I believe the cheese will have the K on it, which means quote unquote kosher. That would mean that some rabbis went in there and deemed that cheese to be okay for consumption. So with the Sargento cheese, I believe some of them might have that K on it. So just look for it, and most likely that cheese will be good, right, on the Sargento cheese. Now, I don't encourage you for everything to just rely on kosher, but things like technical things like cheese and stuff like that, which is very very technical. If it has it on it, most likely they're not dealing with something that's unclean in it with the cheese. And I'm just giving you the easiest way out so that we don't complicate the class, because we could go deeper into the whole cheese thing. But in terms of that, for you who are struggling to find some type of cheese, if you see the K on the cheese, or the U, I'm not sure if they put U and D's on cheese, but if you see that K on the cheese, then it's probably good for you to consume. It says here.
And I'm jumping in. The D would be on there to specify that it's a dairy product. So it would have
it'll be a D.
KD or the UD.
Right, KD or the UD. All right, so there you go. To specify that it's a dairy product. All right, so it says here, for the Lord praise facts. I remember seeing it in the scriptures and wondering why they still considered it kosher. Let me see. Can we eat cow foot? Definitely. You don't have to give up your cold foot soup. You could definitely eat cow foot. For the love and praise. Tuna never has scales. Okay. And I hope that you're a person who fishes, and you could actually give them that advice. Ain Devar, if it has rennet but doesn't specify vegetarian, assume that it is not vegetarian. Rennet, LOL. However, reaching out to the company's customer service line can help answer the question, and that is a great piece of advice. You reach out to the customer service. You see, when we are really following this way of life, or we're following scriptures, you have to put in some work. You have to call the companies and find out whether or not the product is clean for consumption. There's certain things that, I could go into more detail, even things about Domino sugar, but that's another story for another day, But many of us within our community, we don't use Domino sugar because of the process they go through in order to filter and to bleach the sugar. So these are things that we have to keep in mind and we have to be aware of. It says here, it's important to know, especially today with all the poison they are selling today, please do the list torah. Daya is a good cheese also. That's from Nahalia. What about beef tripe? Beef tripe is good. And beef tripe is actually has no blood, no fat, no anything in it. In fact, that's what When you read in the scriptures, that's part when offerings was made. That's part of the maw. When it speaks about the maw, the MAW, that's part of what the priests were commanded to take. It's no work. I love beef tripe. Nothing wrong with beef tripe. Nothing whatsoever. You don't have to soak no blood out of it, nothing. It's a white meat. Beef tripe is good. If certain animals were considered unclean, why was they brought on the ark? Why was they brought on the ark if they were considered unclean? Because back then we didn't have, New York City Sanitation Department. Back then we didn't have any of those services. So the sanitation department of the earth were the animals. That's what kept the balance of the earth. That unclean animals cleaned up the earth. They had certain functions and certain things that they do. Just like in the sea, you got certain animals that are the creatures that clean up the sea. Shrimps, crabs, you got catfish. These animals, you got larger predators that will eat old flesh in the sea, right? Or die, or if somebody drowns, there's animals in the sea that will come down there and that will clean up the sea. So that's why these animals were commanded to be brought on the ark in order to clean up the actual sea. All right? That's why they were brought on the ark. Jews say all scales fall off. Yeah, but we can't go by that. He's talking about the tuna. So I hope I didn't confuse anyone today. I know I started kind of slow, but this lesson, it takes a little bit of time. I've been doing this for years, and it takes time to build, and you got charts and you got all types of stuff. You get very technical, but we have to be technical when it comes to the laws of God and our health. All right? So, if there are no more questions left, I don't know if there's any questions on Facebook, Rabbi, that you might want to address.
No questions over there.
All right, so if anyone sees this in the future and you have any questions, you can leave it under the actual comments, and we'll try to get back to you. But I hope that everyone understood that I didn't confuse anyone. Are limes good? That's a good question. Are limes good? What's your view on limes, Rabbi?
I don't have any information about limes being bad.
Right.
I'd have to look at research it specifically, but between lemons, limes, those particular citrus fruits, I think
they're asking because a lot of limes, like the limes of today, don't really have seeds in it.
Yeah, so the ones like that without the seeds, yeah, that would be a problem, of course. But just the actual fruit itself, whether it's man-made or hybrid, anything like that, I don't have any information on that aspect.
Right. So now, that's why I said there's so much detail with dietary law. Like, I'm going to have to go through also how certain fruits were created, certain citrus fruits were created. I did an extensive research on it, but I just have to put it together, that there are certain fruits, especially citrus fruits, through pollination, natural pollination, a bee bringing pollen to another plant and cross-breeding plants and creating new fruits, I will still consider that to be God's creation because man didn't put their hands on it. It was basically the bee that did it, which is God's creation. So there are a lot of fruits out here that would be considered no good, but they, like oranges. Oranges is it's a crossbreed between I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get you that. I have my notes, but oranges are basically a crossbreed, right? You have I know that a grapefruit is a crossbreed between I want to say an orange and a pomelo. These are all some of these fruits are crossbred, and some of them are crossbred naturally. So that's a question also, can we still eat that? Because the Most High God, later in the law, he tells us not to crossbreed things, animals, or things of that nature. That they, don't do that with the animals. And when you have your field, don't plant apples and oranges within the same field, right? Separate them. Have a separation between them, right? So these are all different things that we also, the law gets intricate. There's a lot of rules and regulations behind it. So those are things for the future. Yeah, navel oranges are no good. All right. No, with the grapefruit, because they said it's a crossbreed between the orange and the pomelo. So some might look at it as being not good to eat, not good for consumption, because it's a crossbreed. But then we have to go in to see how was it crossbred? Was it humanly done, or was it done naturally by the bees, or by what people would say by nature, but it's really by God. God allowed it to happen, right? So those are all different things.
Okay. With the grapefruit specifically, that was human.
Right.
I have to look up the name of the individual, but they took the pomelo seed and put it with an orange seed.
So they spliced it.
They planted it together to make the grapefruit, because the pomelo itself is actually, it looks and tastes like a grapefruit, but it has too much flesh. So what they did was mix it with the orange to reduce the flesh of the pomelo, and that's how they made the grapefruit.
So there you have it from the rabbi, right? So there's a history on it on citrus fruits. When we research it, you're going to see all the different type of citrus fruits and how they were created. So no one else has any questions. Thank you all for listening. I hope that I didn't confuse anyone, and if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. So what is tilapia? Tilapia is fish. Tilapia is a fish that I believe have fins and scales. So by law, tilapia would be clean for us to eat. All right? So, so family, thank you all for listening. May the Most High God bless each and every one of you. And as I close out, I will say these words. Yivareka Yehovah Yishmareka, Ya'ir Yehovah Panao Leka Wikuneka, Yisa Yehovah Panao Leka Weyasem Leka, Shalom. May Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. May Yehovah make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom, family. I hope that the Most High God be with each and every one of you. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, family. Congregation Bait D.C.B. presents We Must Rise. When? May 27, 2023, Memorial Day weekend. Where? Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Services will begin at 11 a.m. Eastern. For more information, you can contact us at 347-622-9090 or at our email at info@baitdcb.org. You can also visit our website, www.baitdcb.org. Don't forget to come with your best spirit of praise. Please come out and support. You won't want to miss it. Shalom, family. Congregation Bait D.C.B. presents a day of praise to the Most High. Unity Shabbat Kum, we must rise. When? May 27th, 2023, Memorial Day weekend. Where? Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Services will begin at 11 a.m. Eastern. For more information, you can contact us at 347-622-9090 or at our email at info@baitdcb.org. You can also visit our website, www.baitdcb.org. Don't forget to come with your best spirit of praise. Please come out and support. You won't want to miss it.